Good evening, Des Moines. I hope it's hot enough out there for you, and don't think that I'm complaining about the warm weather because I am just happy that we have a blue sky and lots of sunshine. This is Lefty with Doc and Lefty coming in on webcast1live.com for the Doc and Lefty program. We are here every Tuesday from 6 until 7. I got my partner in crime across the table from me. Doc, how's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty okay. I'm telling you, it has been a crazy couple of weeks. This weekend, cold, rainy. A week and a half ago, record snows. Today, we're having a record high. I heard it was 97 out there. People going insane. On the way here, there were 3 accidents, one on 65-69, one on Hickman that blocked Hickman completely off, and then one over at 235, and that was just in a space of maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you know, luckily, I've been having fairly good luck with navigating Southeast 14th Street, because if you guys live around this area, if you know Des Moines at all, you know that East 14th Street is probably the absolute worst north-south avenue in this entire metropolitan area. It's terrible, and it makes it even worse when the folks driving back home to Indianola, because they've got 69 down to 1 lane for those first 4 miles as you get out of town.
Oh yeah,
there's road construction.
Yep.
They got a bottleneck because they're working on part of the thing. So in the best of times, East 14th is terrible. When there's an accident, it becomes a world-altering problem, and I've been having pretty good luck, but I think like a week and a half ago, when it was snowed out of nowhere, there are a couple of little rear-ending things, absolutely. And it just seems like the entire universe comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah, you should take Indianola Road if you're coming downtown.
That's what I do anyway.
Yeah, it's nuts out there. Now, the unfortunate thing is 2 of these accidents were car, motorcycle.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes open out for bikers, because, I'm a biker and I'm an easy guy to spot. It's not often you see a fat guy in a Hawaiian shirt on the back of a bike. But keep your eyes open. Make sure you got plenty of space. Make sure before you pull out into traffic or make a turn, that there's not a motorcycle coming. And remember, for those people who get irritated by loud pipes save lives. How many times you've been driving down the road and had a motor scooter go past you and you didn't hear? Or an electric car. That's one of the problems with an electric car, is people don't hear them and they smack into pedestrians crossing the street. So
it is an issue, especially when it's nice out, and especially for folks in these first few months. I'm going to make an assertion, and you can probably support me on this one. I have no facts to back this up. This is complete speculation.
Much like a liberal.
100% my own opinion. I got to think the months between April and June are the highest sort of danger rate for motorcycles, because you got more folks out there. Yeah, they've been itching to ride all winter, so you got more people on the road, and I've lived in Iowa for a long time. I've driven in Iowa for a long, long time, ever since I was legal to drive, and it always surprises me how Iowans forget the seasons. I mean, it snows every single year, folks. Every year it snows. I have been used to snow since I turned 16, and every single year you have people act like they don't know what to do when it snows.
Oh yeah, they're speeding and all that.
And there are motorcycles every single year. People ride motorcycles every single summer. We should be able to remember what to do on heavy bike traffic when it's out there on the highway.
Absolutely. And I think I agree with you. I can't remember the statistics. Now, when I was in Florida, there was always a ton of accidents. But that coincided with snowbird season, when all the old folks came down south. You could have counted on a zillion accidents. I'm going to tell you, one of the most dangerous things is the city has not been out sweeping up the sand. So you're going to have a ton of small accidents with a bike going around the corner or not being able to stop and sliding on the sand. Now, speaking of horrific accidents, looks like President Obama has got himself into a world of trouble. A world of trouble.
It's probably more like a continent of trouble.
Well, I don't know. If the continent's Eurasia, then
maybe a subcontinent of trouble. It's not that much trouble.
It is a whole bunch of trouble, and it all happened at the same time. That's really what's astonishing about this. You got IRS gate, you got Benghazi gate, you got the AP gate with the Justice Department getting after the AP. You have all 3 of these things hitting within a week of each other. And then we've known about Benghazi, but the IRS and the AP thing are a big deal. And so it's really interesting to see how Obama is responding to this. And it appears, from my perspective, that it's the same old crap. And that is, we're going to blame somebody else. It's not really our fault. We're going to blame somebody else. Not really our fault. And the bottom line is you might be able to foist most of this blame off on Hillary or peeing contest between the state and CIA. But the bottom line is buck ends with Obama. The IRS thing, buck ends with Obama. And with the AP thing, buck ends with Obama. And that's my basic talking points today, real quick down the line. I'm sure you're going to have something else to say.
Well, why don't we just we get right into it? I mean, or do you want to start going after one by one, or do you want to just kind of set things up? First of all, I don't know anything about the AP, so I'll have to talk about that, and maybe we'll talk about that first after the break. But what I can tell you is that the IRS thing, that's a serious problem.
That's a serious
problem. What I will say is you can't have any government agency anywhere from the dog catcher to the president going after people for their political beliefs. You just can't do it. I mean, and you heard, if you remember back in 2002, 2003, every single liberal and his weird leftist cousin screaming about the FBI infiltrating library and book clubs all around the country, which happened a little bit, and freaking out. Well, now liberals, you got to wake up. You got to wake up, and you got to remember this guy's not your boyfriend, as Bill Maher loves to say.
Yes.
That if the IRS is going after, now there is no evidence whatsoever that the head of the IRS, who was a holdover from the Bush administration, knew anything about it, which would tend to suggest that there's not a whole lot of direct evidence between the IRS, this whole thing happening, and the actual administration, like figures in the administration. And what I will commend the president so far is that he didn't come out directly and lie about it, and that's always the problem. And it doesn't seem like there has been a concerted effort by the administration to cover this up. You had the commissioner come out and say, we don't do this kind of stuff, about a year ago. And then it comes out that he did, and he looks like an idiot. But you're not going to have a Bush appointee protecting the Democratic president. And the IRS is a very non-political body anyway, or they were supposed to have been.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that it's a serious problem. Right. I hope that after a full vetting and investigation that things come to light. But what just Tan's mind, what we'll talk about after the break, I'm sure that it's coming up, is, I mean, the conservatives have been looking to impeach Obama since 7 weeks into his administration. And all this, that's true. Michael Savage, 7 weeks in.
We try to impeach each other. So
we'll talk about that too. We can talk about that too. But all I have to say is, let's not throw the I word around like it's a haymaker at an MMA fight.
That's right. Now, we're going to be back right after the break. We want to wish our good friend Daryl Carney, who's a fundraiser extraordinaire for the Republicans in general and specifically for the Polk County GOP, very well. He's going to have to go in for some procedures tomorrow. He was supposed to join us tonight, so we wish him the best of health. We will be back right after this quick break from our sponsors. Please tune in. They're what allows us to keep yakking over the radio at you. This is Doc on Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosian Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, this is Lefty with Doc and Lefty. Welcome back. We are talking about the app. You know, I got to say, for a while there, we were having a regular segment about the implosion of the Republican Party. It must be nice for you, Doc.
Oh, boy.
To see, you must be living it up to see
it feels like I'm at Chuck E. Cheese. I'm telling you what, I'm waiting for the band to start playing. I'm eating my cheese pizza and playing my slot games.
It really does. It really, from your perspective, it must look like the president's hopping around like bacon on the pan.
Oh, well, you know, he should be hopping around like bacon on the pan. Here's what I think. Just in short, the worst part of this whole thing is President Obama has just confirmed every conspiracy theorist out there. And that's, you know, if you watch the show very much, everybody knows that I like my conspiracy theories. That's the absolute truth. And I like to put them together so they're at least logical, not just, you know, geez, aliens are seeding the clouds kind of things. I mean, things that actually make sense if you think about it. This thing with President Obama, I knew Benghazi was going to come back and bite him in the butt. Everybody knew Benghazi was going to come back and bite him in the butt. He was in a fight, or at least he thought he was in a fight for his life during the presidential race. His strategy, as we both know, was not about motivating the moderates like the Republicans, but making sure 100% of his base showed up to vote. Everybody who is, you know, less than white, the gay vote, the transgender vote, anybody who, you know, is a typical supporter, he needed to have come out. And he had to kind of deflect the Benghazi thing because, you know, he really couldn't go do anything warlike or hawk-like before the election, because that's what he ran on in 2008 is, you know, I'm not going to be a warlike president. Well, 6 weeks before the election, was it 4 weeks or 6 weeks before the election? You know, Benghazi happened. Mm-hmm. So the bottom line is he really couldn't go out and just start bombing the Libyans and doing all this other stuff. It wouldn't have been political. I think that's one of the issues that he had is he had to make a decision based on politics that really wasn't good for America in the long run, I don't think.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. The first thing I want to just kind of point out, did you really say less than white? Did you really say? Well,
but that's what they're saying. I mean, that's essentially how the I don't know what you call them, the spin meisters and everything else. The spin meisters on the right and on the left have a phrase, less than white. And they divide. This is just one of those horrible truths of politics.
Yeah, I'm gonna before you explain it and make it sound even worse than I think it actually is.
It's horrible what they do. I'm not defending it. I'm just saying this is the language they use.
Well, you know what? I just wanted to point that. I didn't want to let that go completely unnoted.
Well, would it be better if I said minorities?
I don't. That's up to you. But the thing is,
how could I have said that without offending the left? I couldn't.
I mean,
that's the truth. I couldn't have said that without offending
non-racists.
Hold on, that doesn't have anything to do with racism. That has to do with straightforward poll numbers. That's straightforward poll numbers, right there.
Well, fine. If you're talking about if you were referring to them as a population who numerically is less represented than white folks in this country, that's a different sort of calculation. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying that particular term, I had to note it, but it does not have anything to do with your main argument. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it.
All right.
I certainly wasn't going to beat you over the head with it.
Well, thank you.
What I will say is, as it relates to Benghazi, I would remind you of the Beirut attack back in 1983, and I would now I was 1 year old at the time, but I'm sure that you followed it fairly closely, and you were as staunch a Che Guevara supporter then as you are now. Meaning you were totally in the back pocket of the Reagan administration.
Absolutely.
And you remember all of the Democratic howling that happened about how Reagan left those boys to die, how no one had their back, how the administration fell down on the job, and how much criticism they all received because of that later when it turned out that there really wasn't a whole lot that could have happened.
Yeah.
Tom Pickering came out with a report that lambasted the State Department, that just up from the top down. Now, everyone, we're gonna get a bunch of phone calls from your folks that like conspiracy theories a lot more than you.
Well, I hope so. We need some phone calls
that are going to say, well, Tom Pickering's report doesn't mean anything because he didn't talk to anybody. He talked to pretty much everybody. He talked to Hillary Clinton in closed door session, and the report references from the tip of her perfectly coiffed mane down to the sandals of the lowliest State Department analyst that the State Department fell down on the job. And it's a gigantic report that was very comprehensive. And Hillary Clinton stood up in those hearings, took responsibility for it, and said, we want to make these changes. We got to do this. We've got to make sure that the next administration takes care of this after the election. The issue here about Benghazi Gate, as it's being called, is that people think that there is some clandestine, malevolent evil will that happened that got 4 Americans killed, and then they tried to lie about it, which has been proven. Are you listening, all of you John Bircher folks out there, all you fluoridated people out there? That has been proven not to have happened. We're talking about now. Has politics been played? Absolutely. Has it been played by the president? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, I don't remember necessarily a lot of political stuff happening with the president on this right away. It was played by the State Department and the CIA in a turf battle about who was actually to blame. Shameful, yes. Unheard of, no. See back to Beirut in 1983.
Well, a couple of things about Beirut. One,
explain it to us in a historical context.
Well, we were over there in Lebanon trying to help people maintain peace over there, which is, as we've all figured out, is impossible. And part of the problem is that we were negotiating with people in good faith, mainly Christians. All right. Negotiating with them in good faith, using them to be able to be go-betweens between Muslims. Basically, the Christians screwed us and betrayed us. And because of the way the actual compound was set up, which is the same thing that happened in Saudi Arabia, you have to set it up in a certain way so it meets their laws. Well, it just happened to be that this guy ran a bomb on a truck and blew up and killed 236 Marines. Part of the problem with Benghazi is, you know darn well, if that was going on, involving our troops in our CIA headquarters, Obama's sitting in a room with Hillary Clinton and everybody else, just like he did in the Bin Laden raid. And he's sitting there, he's watching a drone, because they all know drones were up. The military has come out, and people involved with this operation have come out and said, listen, we had troops on station that could have come in. So the problem really...
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
there were no troops there.
All right.
Panetta said they were
we're going to
7
come
hours
back.
away.
We're going to come back. We're going to argue this point right after the break. But since I was too lazy to get a commercial done for our sponsors this weekend, we're going to do it live.
Oh, good.
I feel like Bill O'Reilly. We're going to do it live. You remember that remix on there? Oh, my God, it's a riot. Anyway, Daryl was supposed to be here to talk about the Polk County GOP. They have a very exciting program. The Rob Kelly Dinner is coming up next Thursday. I believe the date is the 21st. No, it'd be the 23rd. And if you want to get tickets, you can go to polkgop.com. Not .gov, but .com. And you can register and get tickets. I myself have a table. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use all my seats. So if you have somebody who wants to come get some seats at my table, great. But go check out. There are going to be all kinds of people there. I think Scott Walker, the governor. I think Rand Paul is showing up. And
Rand Paul's been here all week.
Yeah, so he's going to be showing up next week apparently as well. Yeah. So those are some big names, and especially our governor, one of the most popular governors ever, with the exception of Bob Ray and maybe Harold Hughes. You're way too young for that.
Well, for either of those guys.
Yeah, for either of those guys.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I think Branstad's a little bit more mixed than Bob Ray, but go ahead.
All right. So polkcountygop.com. Check out the website. Our other sponsor is Des Moines Anesthesia. Their pain clinics in Fort Dodge and Des Moines. I know there's been a lot of problems with getting in to see a good pain management specialist. They have 4 pain management specialists on their service, all with years of experience. These guys really know what's going on. Lucky for me, I've never had to have a surgery. However, I've had several friends that have had to have surgeries, and Des Moines Anesthesia is taking very good care of them. They're very kind, they're very polite, and very efficient in what they do. Now we're going to get back to Benghazi. Military people have said, especially the SEALs, have said that they had people on station in another base ready to go had the president given the word. And they were told specifically that it was a political decision not to go. Now,
are you talking about stand down?
Yeah, they weren't allowed to go. And
are you saying, and you're saying that came from the White House?
They were saying it's a political decision. And when in military speak, when you say it's a political decision, it comes from higher up.
It's not true. That's not true.
The person that runs the military is the president. And when you say it's not true, you're telling me that, geez, when you have people that are going to create an international incident by responding that the president doesn't know, that's incorrect.
Special Ops Division of the African Division of the Special Ops that these folks, that this whole thing came from, they're the ones who told them, we don't need you. You don't need to go. Okay, those sorts of now are you got to know that those sorts of operational in the moment decisions don't ever come from the White House. You know that as well as I do.
Well,
they're briefed on them later. For sure they are.
Well, but you are incorrect, because the entirety of the Afghanistan war and of the Iraq war, every decision that was made to engage in combat went back to Washington, D.C., and then came back. That's one of the big criticisms I've had on and I've said it over and over, is the chain of command is all screwed up. That chain of command hasn't changed since George Bush, and it definitely hasn't changed since McChrystal got outed. So, I mean...
Okay, I see what you're saying. All I know is that Greg Hicks already testified to this, and some of the other military guys already in Darrell Iss's hearings testified that there was no actual stand-down order. They've already testified to that. That's a canard.
Well, I don't know.
Under oath. I don't know what else to tell you.
I read the same things you did, and nobody's directly said, no, you can't go. But what they did say is it's a political decision and we don't need you. That's just military speak for cover your ass. The other thing is Hicks was extremely critical of the entire debacle. And debacle or debacle?
Debacle. He absolutely was. You're right about that.
And here he is, a committed Democrat, being very critical of the administration. Now, I don't know how far up it goes. I'm going to tell you, it at least goes to Panetta and at least goes to Clinton. All right? Because you don't have an operation like this going sideways without those guys knowing. And I'm going to tell you, when this whole thing happened, my suspicion is they're all sitting in a room watching it from a drone, just like they did the Bin Laden raid. They just didn't release a picture because it wasn't successful. That's typical politics.
Once again, you're saying something that has been testified to not have happened. Now you're getting into the deep weeds of the conspiracy stuff, of them watching these guys get killed, of the stand down order, of some clandestine scandal that's being covered up. Complete fiction. Complete 100% fiction. It didn't happen. Four Americans lost their lives at a CIA installation that you obviously couldn't come out and say it was a CIA installation until it kind of blew up everywhere. That was a
Yeah,
I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't said that.
Back. I am now offended. Hey, I get to be offended for a change.
Didn't mean it that way.
And we know.
I feel like the CNN anchor after the Boston bomb. That was terrible. Until the whole thing kind of got out into the airwaves. And what we have here right now, and the reason that a House subcommittee is having so much you haven't seen this much press since the first days of the baseball steroids thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that you're having all this attention is because they want to make hay out of it. They're trying to hurt the administration, and they're looking at 2016. They're trying to cut Hillary Clinton off at the knees. Now, I'm not saying that people don't do it. I'm not saying that from a political standpoint that it's reprehensible, but I'm not going to make that kind of grandstanding, because we all know what it is. It's gross, politics, and everybody does it. But when you've got conservative groups out there raising money off it, when you've got Darrell Issa, who no one knew before this stuff, before Fast and Furious, before this other stuff, making a name for himself. It's probably a Senate run here in the near future.
Yeah, maybe.
When you got all this stuff, let's just call it what it is. It's not a
gross
crazy
incompetence is what I would call it. I mean, let's look at this straightforward. It doesn't matter if it's Panetta screwing this up, State Department screwing it up, conspiracy theory that, some horrible thing out there is happening. The bottom line is this looks like a cover-up, smells like a cover-up. To me, Lefty doesn't think so, but the bottom line that we both can agree on, the thing we can both agree on is that at best, this is gross incompetence. At worst, it's a peeing contest, and innocent people lost their lives over petty politics.
And which also happens too. USS
absolutely.
Well,
so
like the one in Yemen was a similar. Like all of this stuff, you've had all these foreign attacks. You've had all these foreign attacks by these terroristic groups, Al Qaeda, Al Nusra, all these folks, going after installations they've been doing since our presence there.
Absolutely.
They're mad at us for our relationship to Saudi Arabia and Israel, and they've been doing this for as long as anybody in this room can remember.
Yeah.
And our government, run by Democrats and Republicans over the last 50 years, has routinely ignored and underfunded and underappropriated. David Gregory on Meet the Press had a really nice question for Darrell Issa saying, hey, you guys, it's your job to spend the money, right? And he said, well, no, it's the State Department's job to spend the money. Splitting hairs. Congress appropriates the money. If State Department, which is the most underfunded arm of the executive branch this side of the post office, which is a separate, but you know what I mean. They don't have the money to spend because it wasn't appropriated. Then what are they going to do?
Well, and that raises a couple of different points. One, 9/11's coming up. That everybody's going to be going bananas. Every single person over there that hates us and wants to bomb us and kill us are going to do it on 9/11 to get attention. Number one. Number two, in that area, every single one of those embassies should have an entire.
It wasn't an embassy though, and no one.
Every embassy should have an entire complement of Marines to protect,
and they do.
But they should be bolstered over there.
This wasn't. This was a CIA installation that no one wanted to admit was there. The Libyan government didn't know they were there. This was a CIA operation. This is one of the things. This is one of the reasons why the CIA itself, and I've been saying this since the Bush administration. I know you agree with me. Why the CIA needs a top-down cleaning of house. It really, really does.
Yeah,
because
that's an entirely different conversation. I'm telling you what.
But it is apropos to this because there is no reason why the CIA needs to be conducting these kinds of operations and getting this kind of fire. They're spooks. They were designed to be spooks and gather intelligence. They don't need to be taking this kind of frontline action. They don't.
Well, and
that's what the military is for.
And after the break, we're going to come back to exactly how hawkish Obama can afford to be. We'll be back right after the break. Listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Lead, owner, and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, We guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thank you so much for sticking with us in the second half hour. Doc, I thought that this was going to be a lot more of a fireworks display because, and mainly it's because I was in an all-night battle with some folks who I'm friends with on Facebook about this stuff and how they think that this is the most corrupt administration that's ever walked the face of the earth, and how
not even close.
And how
doesn't mean it's not corrupt though.
Well, but see, corruption is a very specific charge to make against. I mean,
well, that's true.
Do I think that the Bush administration was corrupt for some of the things? I mean, remember they did things like give out no bid contracts and out CIA operatives and stuff, which a guy went to prison. Well, supposed to go to prison for. But I wouldn't say the administration top down was corrupt. And I would say that they were playing politics like every other presidential administration has ever done. Here's the biggest problem, and this is why these folks keep thinking they can get away with it, and it's only going to get worse. 2016, whoever gets elected in 2016 is going to be worse than this one has been. The one 2020 is going to be worse than 2016 until we get a real check on executive power that was drastic, and you have to agree with me on this, drastically expanded under George Bush. For better or for worse, but I think this legacy makes it worse. Executive power is so huge now, these guys think they can do whatever they want. You have the Nobel Peace Prize winning president carrying out secret drone strikes in Pakistan without explicit congressional authority, with an actual vote in Congress, because it gets bootstrapped under the authorization to use military force to go after terrorists anywhere in the world. You have the Peace Prize winning president, Barack Obama, hero of the liberal side, going around signing indefinite detention orders. You have the Clean Up Washington guy on his watch having the IRS target Tea Party and Patriot groups for tax-exempt status. Not denying anybody. No one was actually denied the status, but extra scrutiny because of their political beliefs, which is a clear violation of the First Amendment. 100% clear. Well, actually, that's not true. It's not necessarily a violation, but it violates the spirit of the First Amendment. And for all that to happen, those are real criticisms, folks. Those are the real criticisms of this administration. Does it make it corrupt? No, not necessarily. It makes it crazy with power that's been given to it by a Congress that doesn't really want to do anything.
Yeah,
and I think we can agree on that.
Unfortunately, we do. Now, you have to keep in mind that, the older you are, the more you can think back about how the executive branch has expanded its powers since easily the early 1800s. And it's been a slow, gradual creep with, fits and starts here and there. Vietnam is an example where
exploded with Vietnam. Yep.
And we had to have the war's power War Powers Act in response to that, so that the president can still be the commander in chief, but he has to make a recommendation or go in front of the Congress every 90 days or so. Isn't that correct? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So part of the problem is you have a president who gets elected on one platform and completely abandons it. I mean, that's perspective I have. It's just like George Bush got elected on a platform of fiscal responsibility and abandoned it.
Well, and a reduced role in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you can argue that 9/11 changed that, and he had to take a more sort of aggressive, hawkish approach that it seemed like every single advisor in his administration had planned on anyway, except for him.
And Colin Powell.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Well, Colin, the biggest tragedy of the last 15 years from a political standpoint has got to be Colin Powell, who I think really had no idea
what he was getting into.
What Cheney was going to advocate for, what Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz and all those guys were going to do. He was just there.
Rumsfeld's an idiot.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I agree with that analysis. It just, but and maybe if there is a conspiracy, if there's a secret presidential executive branch conspiracy that stretches back to the turn of the 20th century, I'm going to feed this one to you like red meat to a dog here, Doc. If there's a secret conspiracy of the executive branch to expand executive power, wouldn't a lot of wars be a good way to do that? Wouldn't a lot of crises where the executive in the Constitution is given almost carte blanche to do whatever he wants, with the only exception that Congress has to declare war? Wouldn't that be a really good way to go about scaring everybody half to death?
Well, you know, this is one of the few times we've had a president that wasn't a member of the Skull and Bones Society, or what's the one at Harvard? There's one at Harvard too.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You know, and so you get a group of these super elites out there. They have this arrogance of power, which is really what this is. You have now, in my opinion, lefties are always kind of arrogant anyway. Think that their way is better than everybody else's. Lefty here is an actual exception to that rule. He just comes from a different perspective. But you get this arrogance of ideas, this arrogance of power when you get in. And it's one of these things where you just go, well, hold on, there has to be a limit to what is right and what is wrong. And this winning by any means possible, forwarding your agenda by any means possible, is something that is really, not helpful to anybody. You have, it doesn't matter what it is, gay rights, abortion, Benghazi, whatever it is, people are going to have to start coming together and realizing that the enemies are not me and they're not Lefty. They're not our producer, Frank. It's the people out in Washington, D.C., the people that are unelected that are running the country essentially straight into the ground.
Well, what I would say, I would, if we're going to accuse sort of, first of all, if we're going to divide the political spectrum into the two halves the way that it's really easy to do, and for the sake of this discussion, it makes sense to do it. If the arrogance on both sides, there's an arrogance of ideas on the conservative side for thinking that the old way is always the best because it's the old way. And that's, if you remember Oliver Wendell Holmes saying that we can't be I'm going to paraphrase, saying that we can't keep doing everything the way that we used to do just because we used to do it that way. Yeah. And he was a great conservative justice back around the early 20th century.
You bet.
And so, hey, we've always done it this way, so and it's worked in the past, so it's going to work again, and we don't have, and these new ideas have no historical grounding, so therefore they're not worth anything. That's a legitimate critique of the arrogance of conservative ideas. The arrogance of liberal ideas is we're going to take every mistake of the past and use that and go the absolute opposite direction, which doesn't always work. But because we have, if it was wrong once, therefore the opposite will be right, and we're going to insist on that, and with no proof, no evidence, because we're progressive. That's where liberals fall down, I think, and the insistence on not only being right, but that the other way is a danger. You hear that from both sides all the time. It really drives me nuts, because your conservative ideas aren't necessarily dangerous. My liberal we both know that I want everybody in breadlines and stealing from each other.
You bet. We'll be back right after the break.
Pretty dangerous.
You're listening to Doc on Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are rapidly running out of our hour. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to
Thank you, Obama.
But see, you had emailed me last week about all the different local things that they're going on, and how, I mean, we're not going to get into them. We can maybe talk about them next week. I don't know, but first of all, I'll bring this up really quick because we did mention it in passing last week. We do have to report, although everybody knows it's been a week already, that the Warren County Casino went down in flames.
Yeah, it really got blasted.
Big time. No across the board Warren County Casino. What? I mean, I know that you haven't been down to, you don't go down to Indianola as much as you used to, so you don't have your finger on the pulse down there.
I got a couple of friends down there.
What did they say about it?
Well, basically nobody wanted it. They didn't want the crime in the area.
Some astute political analysis there.
Well, I am Captain Obvious occasionally. They voted it down 60% to 40%.
They didn't want it?
Why did they do that? They didn't want it.
I blame myself for asking the question.
I am a simple man.
But I will take responsibility for asking that inane question. But I think it does bear a little bit of discussion in that every single one of these local referenda around the state has passed that we've heard about, like Lynn County and all these different other.
This group of investors, and interestingly enough, was trying to get a casino going in Urbandale, and now if I misspeak, please correct me. But he had met with several people in the Urbandale City Council, and they were kind of like, well, we'll fly and see what it goes. And there was such a backlash in Urbandale that we chased him out.
Where the hell would you put it?
Right over there by the golf, the indoor golf thing. That's where they were planning on doing it.
Oh, that's ridiculous. And
they had bought a ton of land apparently.
That's
and
ridiculous.
Then they tried to go. I can't remember if it was Polk City or Ankeny or right in between there, and they got run out there. And then they happen to land in Warren County. And their MO is to kind of come in with a big bunch of cash, hope that they can storm real quick and get it passed. Well, it didn't work this time because the bottom line is people of Warren County thought, well, if we're really going to have a casino, why are we going to give you any money to run it when we're not going to be getting any benefit out of it?
30 miles from Norwalk. 30 miles you get to go to... Not even that. 25 miles, you get to go to Prairie Meadows.
Prairie Meadows, which is a really great setup.
Yep, it is.
Now, and that's kind of that arrogance of power that we were talking about.
IRS the same way.
IRS the same way. Department of Justice. Now, this Department of Justice going after the AP, I don't know where that was going to end. I don't know who signed the order because you had to have an order to do that, right?
What they do? Tell us what they did.
What the AP has accused the Department of Justice of doing is getting their information, their confidential emails, their confidential communications back and forth, and giving it to different people, different organizations. And along with that, and this is a news thing that was buried a little bit today because there's so much other stuff going on, including, guys now got convicted and got sentenced to life. So that was, but along with this, it turns out that the head of the HSS, Kathleen Sebelius, was requesting money from nonprofits and other people that were going to be overseen by her department. And the problem is who gives the order for that? Who gives the order to tap into the AP? Who gives the order that says, geez, it's okay for the IRS to come and investigate you using, basically Gestapo tactics. Now, it's not nearly that bad. Nobody broke in doors or anything else. But this whole thing coming all together at one time really kind of shows that, there's a lack of leadership somewhere. There's a failure in leadership. This thing with the DOJ, I think, can really hurt Obama, depending on how far up it goes, because Obama has defended Holder on several occasions and vice versa. The problem is if Eric Holder gave the order to get into the AP's secret stuff and disseminate that information, that's really going to reflect badly on Obama. And the part of the real issue with the DOJ is they do hold so much power. The Attorney General is a powerful individual in the world. People in America, we don't really understand how powerful we are around the rest of the world. They not only look at what the president does, and because he's in a microscope around the rest of the world, but every senator, every congressman, even people from New York, the mayor of New York, the governor of New York, all these people are very important around the world. And you have the Department of Justice keeping tabs on the fifth column. Isn't that what they call the press, the fifth column? Something like that. The fourth estate, I think. Fourth estate, that's right. I don't know what the fifth column is, except, in the paper.
You may have just made it up.
No, I'm sure I didn't.
Okay. Anyway. Fair enough.
But that's where you get. And as a lawyer, you're going to know much more about the ramifications of the DOJ diving into this. The IRS thing, I think it's just a bunch of lefties, infused with the power of the IRS station, because there's nobody is as small-minded as a person with a small amount of power, and that's, that comes from my grandma. And the bottom line is, it could be one of these things where the commissioner of the IRS did say, hey, listen, we have to go fight this, and that's not allowed. It could also be that they said, well, really what the problem really is I need to answer to Obama. And even though I'm a conservative Republican, I want to keep my job. All kinds of things can be going on there. All I know is it's a big, giant mess. Benghazi has been around long enough that we can get several different timelines going. That's going to be a mess. The Department of Justice going after the fourth estate really is a problem. When you have Chris Matthews, a rabid Obama file, and will defend, if Obama got on TV and ate babies, Chris Matthews would say, listen, that's all right. He's Obama.
They had it coming.
Right. Yeah, they had it coming.
Those babies had it coming.
Exactly. That's the kind of rabid guy. He's on there really attacking Obama in the Department of Justice.
Well, I'm looking at this
Rachel Maddow too.
Well, I'm going to read that. I'm going to watch that tonight. But I'm looking at this thing from the Huffington Post, and this is what they're saying. Though DOJ did not give the AP a specific reason for the seizure, the dates of the phone calls it targeted offered a clear tell. On May 7, 2012, AP reporters Adam Goldman and Matt Apuzzo, citing anonymous sources, reported that the CIA had thwarted a plot by an al-Qaeda affiliate to destroy a U.S.-bound airliner using a bomb with a sophisticated new design around the one-year anniversary of the killing of Osama bin Laden. The AP acknowledged then that it had agreed with the White House and CIA request not to publish the story immediately because a sensitive intelligence operation was still underway. But once officials said those concerns were allayed, the news organization went ahead with its story rather than wait for the Obama administration's official announcement. Now, we all know that and I'm not making excuses, okay? I'm just going to offer this up. We all know the Obama administration is death on leaks.
Yes.
They run about the tightest ship that has ever been run politically. I wonder if this was an overreach, if this was we got to make sure, we got to tighten things up, we've got to make sure nothing happens. It's Lyndon Johnson-esque is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Nixon-esque too.
Yes, and whenever you start throwing Obama and Nixon together, the guy's in trouble. We're going to be back right after the break. Stay tuned to Doc and Lefty. We'll be back when we're here every Tuesday on webcast1live.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back right after the break.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back to this last segment here on Doc and Lefty. You know, Doc, you hate to see the transformational, leg-tingling president that is Barack Obama fall prey to a lot of this stuff. But
leg tingling?
Well, isn't that what Chris Matthews said? He felt a thrill or something.
Oh, my God. You're right. I forgot all about that.
But what really makes me angry about all this stuff, and you know, maybe it'll come out, maybe the AP will back off, maybe this story will just kind of go away once more specific details come out about what exactly they were doing. But this is what really makes me angry, and you've seen administrations do it since time immemorial, since there's been a media with national reach, probably starting in World War II, where journalists are intimidated, where presidents go after certain reporters or certain stories or certain sources. You saw it in Vietnam. You saw it in with warrantless wiretappings in the second Iraq and the Afghanistan war, just last 10, 12 years. You've seen these. You saw it with certain operations in the Balkans that Clinton was running. You see administrations going after journalists and going after these folks and trying to listen on what they're doing, even if they don't do anything to them, even if they don't lock them up, investigating them. And it's such an overreach and such a violation of the spirit of the First Amendment and the free press in this country that it just, this theme that's derived itself from this show about the arrogance of power, it really bothers me, because how can we live in a country whose foundational documents apprise a free and open society that then gets distilled, restricted, and fed back to us piecemeal by a government that is just trying to keep us safe under the veil of national security? They don't want any of our precious little lives to be put out or made uncomfortable in any way. Keep going to Walmart, keep making us money, keep paying your taxes, and we'll make sure that the scary bad guys that we invent for you don't get you. Am I minimizing every risk? No. Am I saying that they're doing too much with too little? Yes, I am.
I'm going to, about the only time you're ever going to hear me say something that Rush Limbaugh said. But unfortunately, it's very appropriate for this conversation, and that is, as long as the people are fat, happy, and stupid, they'll keep voting for the status quo. And I remember listening to him way back when he was critical of Clinton, when he was critical of Bush. And basically what's sad is we have a liberal lefty, a conservative lefty, and an extreme right, or a conservative righty. Oh my God, I just did a Freudian thing. And then with Rush Limbaugh, all of us agree that at some point, you have to let freedom go. Part of the problem with the press, in my opinion, is that they have changed from being the protector of the United States to being the exposer of the United States.
That's a good point. That's a very good point on the backside of that little soliloquy that I gave. You make a really good point in that they're not interested in making sure that important truths are preserved for the public. They're interested in the next gotcha, in being the first to run the next salacious story, and the first to make the most money off the next tragedy. That's what you're absolutely right. While I respect a lot of what the press does, as members, sort of tangentially of the press, I feel like we try and be as upfront and honest and correct our mistakes. We might go off every once in a while, but you and I here are not running an agenda that tries to
play gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not trying to get anybody. You know, Dennis Guth, Senator Guth is a great example. Here's this guy under fire getting apparently death threats and, you know,
I don't know about that.
Well, you know, he made it seem like it was pretty bad, but he was, you know, people calling him names and texting awful things to him. And you could tell that he was kind of shaken when he came on the show. Now, anybody watch the show? We treated him with deference and respect. Lefty, who definitely had an issue with what Senator Guth said, was respectful, asked him difficult questions, but was not trying to do a gotcha game. The real change, and I wasn't around for this change. I was really young. But I remember my grandparents talking about this. I remember my dad talking about it. My mom and her sisters would talk about it all the time, about how the press changed when they went after Nixon. And it became, again, we kind of go back. We have this theme kind of running through the show sometimes, the cult of personality. Here you have was it Ehrlichman that busted it? All right. Who broke the story. Suddenly he's famous. Anybody who's been in front of the camera and has had adulation, it gets to be kind of addicting. And now instead
you're not talking about Woodward and Bernstein, are you?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, they just had a movie made out of him with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. But
see, and I think you would be Dustin Hoffman. I think I would be Robert.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Now, here's the wait, did you call me Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I can live with that.
All right.
But here's the main takeaway from that. Was the Nixon story important? Yes, it was. But you know what the backlash of that Nixon story was? Everybody's now trying to be the next Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah.
Everyone now thinks that they smell a little bit of smoke, and they think that the president's erasing tape and shredding documents, and that it goes to the top and follow the money and all this kind of stuff. And it doesn't. It doesn't.
Well, and the other thing is
sometimes it does, but
the other thing is there is such a liberal mindset among a lot of the mainstream media, and there is a conservative mindset at Fox News. You have to read so many different sources in order to get the true story anymore. One of the things I posted on Facebook, I think you and I went back and forth a little bit about it, was the Gosnell trial. How the Huffington Post reported, it one way, and Fox News reported another way. And then with the tragedy in Ohio, where the guy grabbed the three girls, held them as sex slaves. Yeah. Well, in the Huffington Post, there's two stories. You have Gosnell and coverage of its trial and how they always talked about the fetuses, being aborted. And then the very next article is, well, this guy was trying to induce abortions by beating these girls. All right. Now, they use the term then babies. Same author. Same.
No,
same
I don't think it was the same author.
You don't think so?
I don't think it was. No.
But it's still the same publication. So the bottom line is you have this bias, whether it's right bias, left bias, I don't care bias. It needs to stop, and you need to refocus on what your job is.
Well,
you're supposed to be journalists.
Here's the thing, though, and I think that I remember that, and I didn't think it was as big of a deal as you do, but that happens every once in a while. Not to dismiss you out of hand.
Well, I'm used to that.
But the issue is, I think a lot of this, one of the biggest problems that we've seen over the last 10 years is with journalism is the rise of the internet. Talk about it as being a revolutionary technology, which it is. However, you see a lot of the editorial controls that print journalism has been used to and TV journalism has been used to for years and years and years, just not followed as much. Yeah. You know that if there were two reporters reporting on similar stories using different politically charged terms as fetus and baby have become, I guess, then you know that the editor on that particular beat would have said, look, we use one term. I don't care what your politics are. We use one term only. This is what it is, and they insert some control over it. Now, I suppose then that the response to that would be, well, that editor's got a problem, but it's got to stop someplace.
Absolutely. Now we'll take us out of the show right now. We got about a minute left. Don't forget Polk County GOP Rob Kelly dinner May 23rd. Get your tickets at polkgop.com.
And best wishes to Mr. Carney while he goes into the hospital.
Yep. So we wish him well because he's a good guy. Been a friend of my dad's for a long time, friend of mine for a long time. Also, we have Des Moines Anesthesia. Don't forget to check them out. They have offices in Fort Dodge and in Des Moines. The other thing is this is my public service announcement. Eat at Famous Days, May 21st up on Merle Hay Road. 10% of the proceeds of that entire day go to Youth Homes Mid-America, a very worthy organization. Again, that is Famous Days on Merle Hay Road. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back next week from 6 to 7 p.m. We are going to have Average Jill on next week. Her name's Phaedra Gay, and she's my Facebook buddy. I don't know how you know her, but she agreed to join us next week, and it's going to be a fun time. May 28th, we're going to have Cirrus Minor on the show as well. They're releasing a new album. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be here next week on webcast1live.com.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both of them.